There might be 629 experiments, but there's only one Stitch, a fierce and fluffy alien built to destroy. But he's destined for so much more. From exiled prisoner to revered intergalactic captain, this is Stitch's entire story. So strap yourself in for this Hawaiian roller coaster ride. Stitch's story kicks off light years away from Earth in the lab of a scatterbrained scientist, Dr. Jumba Jukiba. Hell-bent on creating genetically perfect but monstrous experiments, Jumba manages to make over 600 of mutants until he lands on a little blue creation, number 626, an experiment designed to push chaos and destruction to its limits, a super aggressive and near indestructible monster that has serious intelligence and no moral compass. Creating such a thing is obviously severely against the protocol of the United Galactic Federation, so Jumba was imprisoned while his chaotic creation was sent to be permanently exiled on a barren asteroid. Phew, it's a good thing they got him under wraps. Can you imagine if he escaped? I just had to go and open my mouth, didn't I? Well, after stealing the police cruiser, 626 heads for a little planet we all know, Earth, and more specifically, the island of Kauai in Hawaii, where he crash lands. Obviously, being on Earth is literally and metaphorically a million miles from where he's used to being, but no one on Earth recognizes what the hell he is. So when some unlucky passersby have a peek at him, they freak out and take him to an animal shelter where he recovers after the crash. While 626 has made his way to Earth, Jumba has been released from prison under strict instructions from the Grand Councilwoman to retrieve his experiment because he knows it best. To keep an eye on the crazy evil genius is a Federation agent and self-confessed Earth expert, Wendy Pleakley. I just thought I'd mention them now, so you guys aren't confused when they randomly show up. Back over with 626 though, a young girl named Lilo comes into the shelter with her sister Nani to adopt a new dog. They were expecting maybe something like a border collie or a chihuahua. Not this.
Hi.
Oh, how?
They become best friends at first sight, and Lilo immediately gives him the name of Stitch, obviously not knowing that she's dealing with literally the most destructive alien in the entire universe. He's way more trouble than he seems to be worth for Lilo, though. He trashes their house, steals Myrtle's bike, and attacks Jumba and Pleakley at the luau. But while Stitch is just using Lilo and her home for cover from other aliens trying to take him away, he soon learns what it's like to have a family. Stitch starts learning about ohana, and that it's the Hawaiian idea that family is family and no one gets left behind or forgotten. The little blue guy starts to think that maybe destruction and mayhem doesn't have to be his future. He looks at his life through the lens of the lost ugly duckling. I guess Stitch is the duckling in that case, like a really blue four-armed duckling. It's only when the Federation's fierce captain Gantu is sent to arrest him that Stitch finally realizes that he isn't lost and that Lilo and Nani are the family he's always wanted. Basically, when Gantu scoops up Stitch, he accidentally also takes Lilo with him, and although he escapes, Lilo is left on an alien ship being taken to space. But instead of fleeing or hiding, Stitch steps up, echoing the ohana that Lilo showed him, recruiting Jumba and his ship to take down Gantu and save Lilo because no one gets left behind or forgotten. Stitch manages to take down Gantu's ship and save Lilo, but as he does, the Federation appears and arrests him, with the goal of taking him away once again to be properly exiled. The Grand Councilwoman, however, realizes that Stitch is a changed mutant, but can't just hand over a fugitive without the proper rules. Well, that's when Cobra Bubbles, a former CIA agent and now Lilo's social worker, nudges Lilo and reminds her that she adopted Stitch a few days ago. So she shows the Grand Councilwoman Stitch's adoption papers, and just like that, Stitch is sent to exile on planet Earth because aliens are all about rules. Stitch's adventures don't stop there though, because after the first film, it wasn't long until the next one, Stitch. The movie came out. The first film dealt with Stitch trying to find a family and a place in the world. This one is all about him coming to terms with the fact that him being an alien essentially means he's alone. There's no one else in the galaxy like him, or is there? Before we get onto that though, in this film, Gantu has totally switched sides and is now working for the infamous Doctor Jock von Hamsterville, and evil hamster who wants to harness the power of Jumba's creations to eventually overthrow the Federation. It turns out that, and I know you all know this, so it's not a big shock, but Stitch isn't the first experiment Jumba had completed. I mean, him being called Experiment 626 was a dead giveaway, unless 626 is the new alien #1. Hamsterville enlists Gantu to kidnap Jumba, and while there, he finds an experiment pod labeled 625. So he brings Jumba and the pod back to his rodent master where they activate it, and instead of a monstrous, killing, chaotic experiment, they soon realize that 625 is just a big, lazy lazy goof. He has all of Stitch's abilities and none of the motivation. While that's going down, Lilo and Stitch discover Jumba's secret stash of experiment pods at home. Of course, Stitch can't resist, so they pry open a pod and oops, accidentally free Experiment 221, a short yellow creature later nicknamed Sparky because he controls electricity. Technically, this is the first time that Stitch meets one of his cousins. Thanks to Sparky, though, Lilo and Stitch manage to defeat Gontu and Hamsterville and save Jumba. They aren't so lucky, though, when they try saving Jumba's pod stash.
Saved the experiments.
Lilo pleads with the Grand Councilwoman to let them round up and rehabilitate these wayward experiments because she knows she can find a place for them in the world. That takes us into the events of the TV series, basically, where Lilo and Stitch have to find and rehome 624 of Stitch's cousins. Like when Experiment 513, a creature with the ability to cause catastrophic earthquakes. But after Lilo and Stitch find him, they name him Richter and give him the job of being the best milkshake maker on the island. Pretty neat. But before we get to the next stage of Stitch's story, why don't you give that subscribe button a little click so you never miss a recap of your favorite shows or characters. Up until now, though, things had been mostly go, go, go. But in the third film, Stitch has a glitch. Stitch hits a serious low. He wakes up one night after a terrifying nightmare that he's gonna turn back time and become a monster again. And it's not long before dreams turn into reality. Stitch starts having chaotic episodes where he involuntarily lashes out anything and everything in his path. When Jumba finds out about Stitch's episodes, it's revealed that this has been the day he's dreaded since they first got to Earth. Basically, when Jumba was dragged off to prison after Stitch's creation, he didn't fully charge Stitch's molecular structure, and due to that, his entire existence is rapidly losing stability. The longer it goes on, the more damage is done, and if Jumba can't figure out a way to recharge him, Stitch will fade from existence. With the idea of saving his family and the rest of Earth from his destructive tendencies, Stitch steals Jumba's ship and tries to head off for good. But mid-flight, a series of glitch attacks hit him, and he ends up crashing the ship in the rain-soaked Hawaiian mountains. Lilo and the others scramble to the crash site where they find the ship smashed and Stitch unconscious. They then drag him to Jumba's makeshift charging machine, but the damage seems done. Just as she was giving up hope, Lilo's love for Stitch is the catalyst that sparks him back to life until he's fully charged. Hey, look, love does crazy things to us all. It's hardly unlikely that it'd recharge an alien life form. Okay, when you put it like that, it does sound a bit out there. After the glitch scare, Stitch is officially A-OK. But the final test of his journey comes in Leroy and Stitch, where the whole gang is celebrating after capturing all of Stitch's cousins. The Federation even offers them promotions. Stitch is offered to become a captain for them. Bleakley is offered a role teaching Earth studies at university. Jumba is given his old lab back, and Lilo is offered the role of becoming an official Earth ambassador. But Lilo doesn't want her family torn apart, although she reluctantly decides if you love something, you'll let it go. So the others jet off to get their lives back, but it's not long before disaster strikes again. And it's their furry foe who's back, Dr. Jacques von Hamsterville and Gontu, but we all know the doc is cooler. They break into Jumba's lab and force him to create a new experiment. Experiment 629, a perfect monster that even tops the destructive power of Stitch's. The result is Leroy, a bad to the bone, less fluffy, more brutal cousin of Stitch. Talking of him, now as the captain, he receives a distress call and heads for Hamsterville and Gontu, but is quickly stopped in his tracks by his new cousin. Leroy then overwhelms our hero and traps him in a stasis pod, now imprisoned. Stitch watches helplessly as Hamsterville clones Leroy into an entire army with orders to conquer the galaxy. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Lilo knows something isn't right, so heads to the most Stitch-like cousin she can find for help, 625. He's spent the last couple years as Gantu's right-hand man, but he's never been about evil as we know. He's more about sandwiches, and who could blame him? Thing is, though, when Lilo actually talks to 625, she not only gives him purpose, she gives him a name. Reuben. Yeah, literally named after a sandwich too. Now motivated and wanting to help, he hotwires a video phone and calls Stitch, but it's not him, obviously. It's Leroy who's morphed into him to trick her. But she spots the imposter because Leroy isn't wearing Stitch's little tiki necklace that she gave him. While all this is going on, Stitch manages to break out of his pod, freeing Jumba and Bleakley, and even Gantu decides he's gonna fight with Stitch because boy are those clones mean to him. Together, they jump to Earth in a Federation craft, just as Hamsterville's Leroy army swoops in to round up all the reformed experiments in Hawaii. Hamsterville herds all the experiments into Aloha Stadium and tries to blow them up with the Battleship 9000's cannon. The cannon gets destroyed by Stitch and the gang, but that just makes Hamsterville reveal the full extent of his clone army. It looks like game over as all the Leroy's box and the good guys and innocent experiments. That's when Jumba remembers that he programmed Leroy with a built-in kill switch, which is triggered by the song Aloha OE by Elvis. You couldn't have told them that like an hour ago, Jumba. How the hell do you forget something like that? With this info, Lilo jumps on stage with Stitch and the gang and starts singing. As soon as the notes play, every Leroy starts glitching out, and just like that, problem solved. Aloha totally rocks, I guess. The gerbil-like Hamstervale is then carted off once again to go back to prison for the rest of time. Stitch has one last choice, though. After their success, the Grand Councilwoman offers to let the crew actually return home to Earth, now that their mission is done. And he, along with Jumba, Pleakley, Reuben, and Gantu, all decide that their real home is with Lilo, so they all head back to Hawaii to live out the rest of their days. And that's where the story of Stitch ends. The story of chaos causing blue furry ball of pure destruction who turned into a sweet superhero when someone was brave enough to love him. I hope you all enjoyed looking back through his past. I know I did. So let me know down below what your favorite Stitch moment is, or who's your favorite cousin, and let me know who you'd like me to cover next. But for now, I'll see you all next time.